May I kindly ask a volunteer to open the session with a prayer? Yes. On the
Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, this beautiful morning. Father, we thank you for the gift of life. We thank you, Lord, for your reign supreme in our midst. This morning, Father, as we are gathered here, we commit this meeting unto your hands. Father, we invite the Holy Spirit to lead and direct the proceedings of this meeting by your grace, mighty God. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Good morning once again. My name is Arafat Kisokan. I'm the Member of Parliament for Mulepole North. I'm the chairperson of this committee. I'll now ask honorable members to introduce themselves, members of this committee.
Good morning to all. Ki bidua Phil Aaron ki mo parlamente wangami ibile ke loko la komitione ke a leboga.
Jeremiah Frenza, Member of Parliament for Shasha West. I'm a member of this committee. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Parliamentary. I'm a member of Parliament for Johnny Mabutane. Thank you.
Morning. Ke bidwa Gaefele Stombo ke mo Parliament wa Tonota. Bile ke le lokola committee.
Dumelang, maina me ke Tlhabologo Furniture. Ke Parliamenta ko Tati o Botlhaba ke leloko la le letetseng la committee.
Dumelang ba ga rona. Nna ke bidwa Gabriel Malebang. I'm the clerk of the National Assembly and the first secretary of committee.
The three ages.
Ke bidwa Mbaki Manyake ke metsi Auditor General o tla re tlhela.
Good morning. My name is Samuel Diane. I'm standing in for the Accountant General.
Good morning. My name is Ratela Nkau from the Attorney General's Chambers.
Good morning. Kibidwa Chris Mfila, Director, Parliamentary Services, and Second Secretary to this committee. Thank you.
Dumela, Kibidwa Pazimo Mipe from the Office of the Parliamentary Council.
Good morning. My name's Wame Mbeha. I'm Deputy Director, Parliamentary Services Department.
I now give the opportunity for the BOPS representative to introduce themselves.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. I'm accompanied by Director of Corporate Services, Memam Bulawa, together with our Manager Internal Audit Services, Memam Kuni. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. It's now time for oath. Witnesses are reminded that proceedings are under oath. You have been summoned to give evidence before this Parliament Committee on Statutory Bodies and State Enterprises. The evidence you will give before this committee will be on oath or affirmation and must be truthful in terms of the oath or affirmation you shall take before giving of your evidence. You have the option to swear to oath on the Bible by putting your left hand on the Bible and with your right hand raised. Declare as follows. The evidence, or you may opt to make an affirmation if you object to the first oath and declare as follows. Oath. I
Botsile Kebapetse,
do hereby swear that
do hereby swear that
the evidence I shall give before this committee
the evidence I shall give before this committee
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing else but the truth.
and nothing else but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. I
Beatrice Mbulawa,
do hereby swear that
do hereby swear that
the evidence I shall give before this committee
the evidence I shall give before this committee
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
and
nothing else but the truth.
nothing else but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. I
Chawa Mukuni,
do hereby swear that
do hereby swear that
the evidence I shall give
the
before this committee
the evidence I shall give before this committee
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole
and
truth,
nothing else but the truth.
and nothing else but the whole truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. Bana ba re ga ba utlwa leina la gago le maemo a wa tshwereng gongwe le ke go ipoeletsa but
Botsile Kebapetse, Bob's Managing Director.
o feel relaxed yana tlo buisanya.
No, okay. Okay.
Yeah, on behalf of the Statutory Bodies Committee, I welcome you to this committee. Your attendance is really appreciated. This examination is part of the Parliament's oversight responsibility. We welcome your cooperation and thoughtful responses to the members of this committee. I now invite the accounting officer to present. Ora, please limit your presentation to key issues and highlights on the mandate, financial performance, governance, auditors' reports, and BAWA, PPRA, and other regulators' reports. I'm going to give you 15 minutes to do your presentation.
Thank you, Chair. I'm very pleased, Chair, to be here this morning, and we are very privileged to appear before you, and we believe we are going to learn a lot this morning. Chair, in terms of our mandate, if you look at page 4, Chair, I want to start by saying we have circulated a brief presentation, a PowerPoint presentation. I hope members do have it. And Chair, on page 20, you'll see the compliance on the main document regarding the Standards Act, which is our establishing act and providing our mandate. In terms of the Standards Act, Chair, our duty is to promote standardization and quality assurance in the provision of commodities and the rendering of services. And Chair, in order to be as brief as I can, just to say, in terms of the Standards Act, we are supposed to provide all quality infrastructure services except accreditation for obvious reasons, because we are the ones who are providing services, and therefore we need a third party to provide accreditation to us. And that includes the standardization in terms of standards development, and we also facilitate implementation of such. We also deal with provision of metrology, that is industrial metrology in terms of the Standards Act. When you look at Section 3 of the Act, we provide also what we call conformity assessment, which includes certification, testing, and inspection. We also deal with technical regulations. Chair, when it comes to technical regulations, we are focusing more on compulsory standards as well as trade metrology. Compulsory standards and trade metrology, we are looking mainly in terms of consumer protection. And Chair, we are also mandated by the Weights and Measures Act of 2006. You will see that in terms of compliance on page 24, where we have to assess and calibrate measuring instruments that are used in trade. Here we are dealing with measuring instruments, specifically those that are used in trade. For example, we can look at liquid fuel dispensers. When you buy your fuel, you'll find our stickers on the fuel machines when you buy fuel in the filling stations. When you go to the butcheries, the weighing balances, all the instruments that are used in trade, you'll find our stickers there because we are protecting the consumer with regard to Weights and Measures Act mandate. And here we are dealing only with trade metrology, Chair. The Standards Act provides for industrial metrology, where we provide measuring instruments, making sure that they measure properly for purposes of industrial development. That is, the measuring instruments that are used in industry, that are used for measuring all the other raw materials. Chair, when you look at governance, the Standards Act Section 4 provides for a 12-member standards body, that is Standards Council, which is our board of directors. The membership is supposed to be 12. And in terms of Section 4, subsection 3 of the Standards Act, the board or the Standards Council is authorized or empowered by the Act to appoint committees and subcommittees of the board. And to that end, the board has appointed 3 committees, Chair: the Finance, Risk and Audit Committee, the Technical Advisory Committee, as well as the Human Resource and Remuneration Committee. The Technical Advisory Committee, Chair, is responsible for approval of draft standards. And currently, Chair, in terms of the membership, we have 8-member Standards Council, and we do not have challenge when it comes to quorum, because with the Standards Act provide for 50% in terms of quorum of the current membership. That is, as we have 8-4, will correct normally. That is how the Standards Act, in terms of Section 6, Schedule 9 of the Standards Act provides. Chair, regarding the accounts, we are to be audited 4 months post every financial year. A total of 6 months, our accounts should be laid before the National Assembly by the Minister of Trade and Entrepreneurship. And Chair, I would like to assure the committee that we have indeed, during the period under review, we have been compliant. There is no such time when we didn't comply with such the protocols. I must also, Chair, mention that one of our guiding principles when it comes to governance is our national quality policy, which Parliament approved in 2022. The idea there being to improve all quality infrastructures in Botswana, especially the national regulatory framework, as well as to provide structural arrangements, which will include your quality office, which we have since established within the Ministry of Trade, as well as the Interministerial Committee. It's supposed to be a tripartite relationship between the private sector, the Ministry, and BOPS, in terms of the way the national quality policy is looking at the structural arrangement. The quality office is to make sure that we nationalize the quality matters within the bureau, within the nation. Chair, in terms of financial stability, sustainability, I must mention that during the period under review, you will see that honorable members on page 50, I must mention that from 2021-2025, especially in 2021, Chair, let me start there to say, during 2021, the Bureau experienced a very serious financial challenges. We lost 10.8 million during that year. We generated 9 million. Honorable members will remember that we were smarting out of COVID. And Chair, we had to go to work in terms of making sure that we turn around the situation. We then developed what we call the revenue generation and cost containment strategy, which, Chair, that was developed in 2021, October. That was, in fact, Chair, when I just came in as the acting MD and was appointed substantively in November of the same year. That means that strategy, we developed it a month before I was immediately appointed as the MD. And Chair, the idea here was to improve our financial discipline, our financial prudency, to make sure that we rationalize our procurement and we take care of natural attrition. Here, Chair, making sure that we monitor closely the replacement or the filling of vacancies or replacement of those who may the positions that may be vacant due to maybe termination or resignation. We intended to tighten cash flow management and contain operating expenditure. Honorable members will see as we move along that indeed we were able to deal with, to do what we call doing more with less or with little. You'll realize when it comes to results, Chair and honorable members, that indeed this strategy borne fruits in the sense that when you look at the results, we were able to improve or increase from 9 million in 2021 to 16.2 million, which is 79% revenue increase in that year. We continued, Chair, to improve further by moving from 16.2 million to 21.5 million in 2023, a 32% or 32.9% in that year, Chair, while ensuring that, as I said earlier, Chair, that we make sure that we keep operating expenditure on check and we make sure that it declines with time. Here we were able to reduce from 1.2 million in 2021 to 92.9 million in 2023. You'll see that on page 51. And Chair, we then realized a marginal growth of 3.6% in 2024. We went back, Chair, to the drawing table to make sure that we turn the situation around, because the idea is to move forward, to make sure that we reduce reliance on government, we increase our revenue as much as we can. This time around, Chair, for the first time we developed internally our own strategy, a three-phased business transformation strategy, which is for 2024-2030. This strategy was internally developed. We appointed a team of youthful individuals within the organization who to come up with this strategy. And indeed, they did come with a very robust strategy, to the extent that when the board looked at the strategy, they decided to adopt it as a corporate strategy. Initially, it was supposed to be a sub-strategy, a business strategy to the corporate strategy. But it was eventually adopted by the board because it was so robust in its nature. It was very promising, and it has a high potential of bearing the fruits. And the good thing about it, Chair, is that it saved the BOPS consultancy funds. We had budgeted for 600,000 for consultancy to come up with a new strategy through consultants, but we were able to save such funds. We were able to, we are looking mainly, Chair and honorable members, at expanding our service offerings and also to turn around the situation in terms of trying as much as we can, in terms of phase one to break even and also to generate profit, as well as to digitize and automate our processes. And Chair, this one we struggled because we didn't have adequate funds. We then engaged UNDP to assist us. They partially assisted us to a certain extent, but they couldn't take us through because also they ran short of cash as they moved along. And phase three, the idea, Chair, was to transform the organization into a commercial entity, the route that we are still on as we speak. The strategy still ensues, as we can see, members, that it is going to be ending in 2030. In terms of results, Chair, indeed, the board was correct to believe in the strategy, because when you look at what happened in 2024, you'll realize that we moved from 22 million to 30.6 million, which is 37.1% in terms of increase, revenue growth. And cumulatively, Chair, within the period under review, we were able to generate or grow our revenue by 238%. And this, Chair, was to ensure that we transform our internally generated revenue or generation capacity from 11% of subvention in 2021 to about 40% in 2025. That is where we are, Chair. This is the route in terms of trying to reduce reliance on government, and also to move from deficit of 10.8 million in 2021 to a surplus of 4.4 million in 2025. And like I said, Chair, we continued to make sure that we keep operating expenditure contained as much as possible within 1%. As the revenue was growing at that amount, in that trajectory, the operating expenditure was actually held within a very narrow range. That is 1%. Chair, we also are looking at reviewing our organizational structure. We are reviewing it. The process is ongoing, Chair. The idea is to build efficiencies within the structure. We are looking at the functionality of the structure, Chair, in terms of functional deficiencies, because our structure is lacking in so many ways. It's not in a position to provide or deliver the strategy as we see it. Examples will be your business development functions, company secretary. We don't have within the structure, the financial or management accountants. We don't have such marketing as well. We are running short of such positions. Chair, we will also, members, remember that we now have a number of pieces of legislation, including your Data Protection Act, as well as the PPA, which have brought about new positions that are statutory in nature, that we don't have a choice but to make sure that we employ such a caliber or expertise. And we have to build those positions into the structure, Chair. And that is mainly to make sure that we are compliant with the pieces of legislation of this country. Examples, Chair, when it comes to legal compliance is that we don't, I already mentioned the company secretary, the PPA brought about procurement oversight, the DPO brought about the DPO, which is the Data Protection Office, to make sure that eventually we have an optimal structure that can deliver the strategy. Chair, finally, I'm going for the challenges, because as much as we were making progress financially, it will be amiss of me not to make sure that members appreciate that we have a plethora of challenges at the Bureau as we were making such progress financially. Members will remember that between 2022 and 2024, government subvention was being reduced by 5% consecutively, while at the same time government had agreed with the labor unions, public sector labor unions, to increase salaries by 5% consecutively. That in itself had its own adverse effects to a certain extent, because we didn't have much choice. Some may argue that no, you are actually independent, but when you look at it from the moral point of view and from the fact that we also have to make sure that we inject, we increase our, when you look at mainly our staff, the way I've been saying that they've been working very well, they've been producing results. It is important to also keep their morale going, increase their morale as much as we can. So we had to keep up in terms of those 5%, and indeed we did, Chair. And the other challenge, Chair, will be external audit concerns. You will see, Chair, that we have included the BAUA report or findings, as well as the external audit findings under challenges, necessarily because of their nature. They are challenging to us, Chair, and honorable members. We are looking at IT governance policies. I must say before you, Chair, that indeed we have brought about those. There will be, a lot of them have been done. The pay late payments, I will not mention the details there, but they are in the main documents. The bank reconciliation, Chair, we are working around the clock to make sure that we close such gaps. There, Chair, it's part of our structural deficiencies that I mentioned, where we are running short of financial and accountants and management accountants mainly. And also, Chair, the BAUA concerns, we are looking at board evaluations, board CPDs, that is continual professional development, which we have not been able to carry out due to financial constraints, legal compliance policy as well, Chair, which we will be dealing with once the org review is completed and we are able to hire a company secretary. The CSR policy ESG strategy, which we have now built into the business transformation strategy that I've mentioned, as well as the waste management policy. Chair, the rest of our findings, which are challenging to us, are necessarily related to the Standards Act itself. They deal with the appointment of the CEO, the appointment of board members, the appointment of the chair of council. All this, Chair, are actually the provisions of the Standards Council, which are not necessarily compliant with corporate governance. The private sector concerning, Chair, I must mention the concerns of the private sector regarding certification fees. We have been advised that we need to deal as well with the hotspots. One of our hotspots, Chair, is the concerns that have been raised by the private sector regarding our certification fees being high. Chair, here I must mention, Chair, that it is very important that honorable members appreciate where this is coming from, as well as members of the public. When it comes to certification, Chair, as I mentioned earlier, it's part and parcel of what we call conformity assessment infrastructure. The major component that is a cost driver that results in high fees is testing, because there is no how you can come up with certification without having tested the products first. Unfortunately, Chair, one of our major challenges is in our inadequate capacity when it comes to conformity assessment. Not only testing, but the entire conformity assessment, including certification itself when it comes to the portfolio in terms of the schemes that we would want to be providing insofar as certification is concerned. So most of the time, we are to then arrange for testing as provided by the Standards Act, Section 3, that we are mandated to arrange for testing or to provide testing. Now, where we don't have capacity, which happens most of the time, we then outsource testing. And this is where we lose control in terms of the fees or in terms of the price. Most of the time, they will be more expensive. And this is where now the costs of certification comes from outsourcing most of the time. So we are working round the clock with the ministry through the National Quality Policy as well as the NDP 12. I must mention, Chair, that we are comforted by the fact that NDP 12 has provided for from 2027-2028 to take care of some of our challenges, including testing equipment, including IT strategy, Chair. And we believe that from 2027-2028, we will be taking care of that through the NDP 12. But we are also, Chair, not only looking at NDP 12 or the ministry, we are also working on collaborations with, as I mentioned, the UNDP earlier, but we are going beyond that. We are looking at collaborating with other potential partners across the globe. We have a committee now which is working now in identifying and engaging potential partners to bring about the solutions to these challenges. That is especially when you look at training courses as well as schemes for certification. Chair, it will be amiss of me if I'm to not finalize with the legal dispute that we have incurred or that we have experienced, that we have had. For over 4 years, we have had a legal dispute with our former manager of finance. Chair, I would also want to request, with all due respect, thank you, Chair, I'm actually there. This is the very final one. Yes, sir. This is the very final one. I want to say, Chair, with all due respect, honorable members, that I will request that this matter should not be discussed in this public forum. As members may have gone through our report, the matter is still sub judice. The former manager of finance has appealed the matter to the High Court. It could be, we would be saying the matter has been concluded. Unfortunately, it has been appealed. It's still going to be litigated further at the High Court. With your permission, Chair, I would request that the matter be allowed to run its course and be discussed once it is concluded. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. I now invite our honourable members to engage and proceed with questions. Ke nako ya lona batlotlegi.
Ke a leboga chairman. Like I sebaka se ke go leboge the accounting officer for your submissions. Me gongwe ke tlhaloganyo gore as BOPS, do you have adequate technical and staffing capacity to independently test imported goods in high-risk sectors such as health, foodstuff, energy, and construction? Gongwe ke supe gore still within this, for how effective are your quality policy, given that there are cases where such products with poor quality are identified in our market, more especially those that are coming into our country. Given the reoccurring incident of such poor quality products, how impactful are your remedial measures? Gongwe ke tswalla hape ke boela mo gae. I would say quality versus safety. As a Botswana, we are a country that exports very little. We import. Taking outside of the country is it's exports, right? Yes. Why are we so strict with our entrepreneurs who are trying their best to come up with products that would be locally produced, when it appears that we are so relaxed with such products when they come into our country? Isn't this giving the perception that we are more inclined to support outside markets rather than supporting our own markets that are developing within Botswana? Again, where I would like to also to get to understand still on this issue, to say, are you aware that those countries that have developed high quality standard, they started from somewhere? I remember before the word Fonko, there used to be a word in Japan, Japan. After the World War, when Japan used to produce the low quality in a very junior time, Japan, and see where the Japanese are now. They started from somewhere. My point, what I'm trying to drive, as long as it is safe and not risky to health, rather let's grade those to be, give them grade to say locally produced, maybe for local consumption or so. Even with food, I would still insist to consider safety on products that are locally made over quality. Hai le gore ke dira peanut butter, Motswana iteka dira peanut butter. I say bewe gore only haika testa ya ka peanut butter ya cat ke gone go ka take standard. As long as it is safe, as any health hazards, haika nna busula me ile ya Botswana o ta improve teng gone go. Gore safety over the standards, gore the entrepreneurs tsa rona di tswelele. Let me pause there while I hand over to my colleagues.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and thank you for your presentation, Mr. Kibabate. Thank you, sir. The Standard Council meeting expenses in 2023 was 243,198, and it reduced to 156,038 in 2024, then increased to 593,081 pula in 2025. Technical committee meetings expenses in 2023 were 28,619, and increased to 42,031 in 2024. According to the report, this is according to the report that I have here. Can you justify these disparities in figures? Just maybe, give us as to the increment, what caused the increment, what made the differences in these figures? What was the, I don't know. I don't know if you get my point, but I think you'll justify the disparities just in figures. The other question that I've got in relation to the finances, the auditors noted in their management letter that bank accounts were not reconciled on time. Why is this the case? Why? Payroll not reviewed and monitored by management. Does this not border on maladministration? I just want to know about that. And lastly, with your former employees still holding the bank signatories, how much public funds imprecise have been unlawfully received and accessed through that? How much public funds have been accessed into, with those holding the signatories, yet they are not part of your board? And of course, you said we shouldn't talk much about the former general manager whose case is still under the courts. But I had a question in that, but I will just pause there. And since you said it's confidential, let me not dwell much into it, and we discuss the ones that I just presented. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Let me hand it back to you, the accounting officer, to take the two of the questions. Then we'll have follow-up questions from other members of parliament.
Yes.
Let me answer two. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The former employees being signatories go bankeng ya BOTSWANA, but ne ke tla ke utlwa ka re o bua gone gore why is it why is it that the board members are still signatories? Ne ke re ke makantse gore he's talking about employees, former employees. Thank you so much.
Yes, Chair, thank you. And thank you for that, sir, Honorable Member. Chair, on the council, the issue of the council, the Director of Corporate Services will assist me on that one, Chair, with your permission. Let me start at the very first comment by Honorable Member Aaron regarding issues of whether we have adequate measures in place regarding control of quality on our products. If I got the answer, the question correctly. Chair, he wanted to find out if, in terms of issues that for importation, we have what we call, initially it was the Standards Import Inspection Regulations, which we later reviewed into what we call compulsory standards regulations. And I must mention, Chair, that when it comes to that piece of legislation, we only focus on what we call prescribed standards. That means we are not regulating all products. We only regulate about 130 standards now, not all the products. Members will also appreciate that when it comes to consumer protection, we are only focusing on health and safety. We are not focusing on any other matter in terms such as quality, as you have already mentioned, Honorable Aaron, that we should try as much as we can to focus more on safety as opposed to quality. We do that especially when it comes to compulsory standards, when it comes to regulatory compliance. We are focusing only on that, protecting the health and safety of the consumer, protecting the health and safety of the environment and of the flora and fauna. Honorable Aaron also wanted to appreciate why is it that we seem to be too stringent when it comes to our own, and we seem to be relaxed when it comes to others. I need, Chair, to share with members that we are focusing most of the time, if not all the time, and being guided by standards themselves. When it comes to, for instance, certification, we are guided by 17021, and I know that is one of those major issue comes when it comes to certification, that our certification is very stringent in terms of its measures when it comes to SMEs, MSMEs. The challenge, Chair, is when it comes to us having to accredit our certification. Members will remember that we just acquired certification on QMS. We are still working on acquiring certification on products. But the 17021, ISO 17021, is one that is guiding us on what measures we should put in place to ensure that we do get that accreditation. Members will remember that without accreditation, we are not going to be able to align our strategies and our activities and operations towards supporting this government strategy when it comes to export development, because it is accreditation that gives us international recognition and opens market access in terms of recognition of products. So really that is where the major challenge is. But Honorable Aaron, through the Chair, I must say, members, that we are working on trying as hard as we can to make sure that we reduce our stringent measures to accommodate the SMEs as much as we can. Are you aware that other countries have started somewhere? Yes, sir. We are very much aware that other countries have started somewhere. We are actually, Chair, playing a balancing act. Members will know very well that where quality goes low, we will be blamed for the same, especially when we try to say, no, let's go slow, let's go lower. It becomes, again, the issue that products that are coming from Botswana, certified, are still of very poor quality. So that is where really the catch-22 situation comes in, and that is why 17021, ISO 17021, is very, very important to make sure that we are able to open markets outside this country. So we are working, like I said, in making sure that we try to bring them along. We are working closely with the ministry, Honourable Member Aaron and members, to make sure that we try as much as we can to be inclusive in our processes. And yes, again, we are looking at matters of safety. The issue of bank account reconciliation, Chair, I did mention it as one of our major issues and the source in terms of our structural deficiency that we are now attending to through the org review. But as an interim measure, Chair, I must assure you members that we do from time to time outsource such expertise, as it is the case now, where we have outsourced such expertise to at least have some qualified experts on the ground. So we are working on that, Chair, the long term will be the org review results, which we have already built in the draft structure. Chair, yes, I will ask with your permission, Chair, the DCS to assist with the one on the Standards Council.
Thank you very much, Honorable Frenzel. The issue pertaining to the increase in our Stand Council fees is because in 2023, we were operating with a limited number of Stand Council members. We were operating with only 4 members of the Stand Council. And then in 2023, the ministry appointed a further 4 SC Stand Council members. And as such, we are currently operating with 8 members of the Stand Council. And that is what increased the Stand Council members' fees. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you, Chair.
The signatories.
The issue of the signatories, Honorable, basically emanated from the bank administration. Because normally when employees leave the organization, we do send correspondence to the bank to ensure that they remove them. But unfortunately, as at the time of the audit, when the auditors inquired from the bank, it appeared they had not processed the banks. They had not removed the signatories from their systems. But as a matter of fact, we had already communicated with them. So that was resolved, as at the time of the audit, the bank promised us that they will do the needful.
So that means you haven't lost any money?
Not at all.
Oh, thank you.
Not at all.
Okay.
Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you so much. Honorable members from Honorable Furniture.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think my area of interest is on corporate governance, particularly the board. The board meets quarterly as per the Act. Why there are areas which have been overlooked by the board? I think that's my short question.
Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Sidomba.
You mentioned that the BAO recommendations are not done due to financial constraints. But the question might be, why the compliance report is not submitted? Thank you.
Over to you.
Thank you, Chair. The last part, Chair, it will be an oversight on our part if indeed it wasn't submitted. We will submit, Chair. We promise the committee that we will submit if, as the member is saying. The Chair, I will request that the first question, if it could be elaborated as to specifically, or maybe examples, Honorable Furniture, on which ones you are looking at, so that maybe we can assist with the right answer.
Honorable Furniture.
Okay, thank you so much. I think in your mandate, the board has so many areas that needs to be addressed to. So now, in your report, it shows that there are other areas that were overlooked by the board, yet the board meet quarterly. So that's where I wanted to understand what are the, why is it that the board overlooked other areas that it's in its mandate? That's what I wanted to know.
No, Chair, maybe if I had specifics, I will be clear. But I think maybe Honorable Furniture is talking about areas which we were not able to implement, not necessarily overlooked by the board, because there is no how, and I would not remember any area that our board may have overlooked. Because like I said, Chair, members will remember that I said in terms of Section 4, subsection 3, the Standards Act is authorized to appoint committees, and the Standards Act has indeed appointed Finance, Risk and Audit Committee, and it is looking at all those governance matters for that committee, being finance, being risk, and being audit. We have the Human Resource and Remuneration Committee taking care of those areas, and we have the Technical Advisory Committee taking care of the standards. That is why initially I said maybe if there was some form of elaboration regarding around the question, maybe we would be able to give a better answer. But as far as I'm concerned, insofar as corporate governance is concerned, our board is working round the clock to make sure that they provide the necessary oversight. Thank you, Chair.
Just a follow-up, Chair.
Follow-up.
You mentioned that there are positions that have not been filled by the board. So now, what I was saying is that your board meets quarterly, which is 3 months. So now, the question is, why do you have certain positions that have not been filled yet? Yet the board meet quarterly, because these are the other things that you mentioned that it's one of the challenges that you are facing in your organization.
Let me write on also on a question, just a single question. Was the annual report tabled in Parliament, your annual report?
Remember this year, but I think all this time we've been submitting our reports to the ministry. Yes, Chair. Like I said earlier, we've been complying with the protocols of the Standards Act every year. There's no year that we did not submit our annual report or our statement of accounts on time to the ministry within 6 months. We do that every year without fail. In terms of the question that Honorable Fanisha was asking, I thank you, Chair, and thank you, sir, for the specific, at least being elaborate on the question. What I was saying, Chair, is that we were not saying they have not been filled. We are saying there are positions that are not provided for in the structure, and that is why we have decided to go for organizational structure review, which I said is a process that the consultant are handling, and it has been moving for some time now. We are going towards the end of for the approval of the structure, because the draft structure has been presented to us as management and the union, because we are a unionized organization. And we believe that we are on course to eventually have a structure that will deliver the strategy. So we are building into that structure as part of the organizational review. Those positions, I gave example of company secretary, example of DPO, the Data Protection Office, oversight that is brought about by PPA, and other functions, because really there is quite a plethora of structural deficiencies across the structure. So we are building that within the org review. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable friends, in an akil arrange kanya discrepancies mo di kanya tsa lona le lwetse go ya rafa. Why go go friends? Yeah, the figures. The standard council meeting expenses. Yeah, Rabil.
Now at Halusiwa Chair, at the beginning there are only 4 members. Then the minister appointed 4 more members, which is where the discrepancy came from.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah. I wanna. Finish your work. What's out now? Time we play the real honorable Quape because they'll have to finish up. Honorable Kwapa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a plethora of questions that I would want you to quickly answer and in a very honest way. What measures have you put in place to address the slow implementation of auditors' findings to avoid recurring incidents? So the other question is that I understand that you are an organization of standards. My question would then be that, does the partial payment of salaries of staff also include management salaries? The other question is, what measures have you put in place to address the risk indicators? And again, in your report, especially at page 50, you stated that there's been a positive growth, especially the 3.6 marginal revenue growth in 2024. So my question is, what steps have you taken to fully pay the overdue staff salaries? Then the other question is it true that capacity deficiencies lead to BOPs going to other countries to test samples, resulting in high costs and long days of delays for customers? And in what areas are these capacity gaps? Which countries help BOPs with testing samples? And how is this also impacting on Botswana's economy? Those are the few questions. Thank you, Mr.
Le Felicia, do the follow-up.
Yes, I think mine, it's an issue of fixed assets register. That there is no fixed assets register. Why is it the case? It also go back to issue of the board overlooking such things, because we, as its mandate, we expect that they should attend to these issues. So I just wanted you to touch on that.
Hello, Arod.
Ke a leboga Chairperson. Gongwe ke tlhaloganya gore there are some question marks regarding your training, inspection, certification, and enforcement. And how does BOPS separate its training, inspection, certification, and enforcement function to avoid conflicts of interest? On the follow-up, I understand, certification, right? Or accreditation, or you are internationally mandated to a certain standard. I still insist to say, is there a provision that we can have certain grades that are for locals, for local consumption, that we can say this grade is for local consumption? Then we say strictly when you do for imports. Is that right? Can I confuse how Romero exports the Israel? Then that can we have another grade to say strictly for exports? Then this there is a higher criteria to be met, so that ba graduate reskarababela hela mo hore accreditation ya rona ke ya di exports hela. Thank you.
Ushame.
Then, Honorable Chair, there are no fixed assets register. Why is this the case? Yeah. I think you got me. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The last one, the DCS will take care of it with your permission, Chair. Let me see where we're starting, what position, what field, what measures. Yes, the issue of slow implementation of findings. Like we said, Chair, and let me assure you, Honorable Kwapa, that I'm going to be as candid and as honest as I can. The fact of the matter, Chair, is that, like I said in my presentation, we are experiencing financial constraints, and that is why we have declared war on financial sustainability. It's because we are really, even this year, as we speak, government has reduced the subvention by 5%. As we speak, Chair, we are paying 6% of staff salaries. 6% of our staff costs, we are now paying it internally generated revenue. We are not complaining about that. We want to be able to increase our internally generated revenue so that we reduce reliance in government. So really that is where the issues are. And I said also, Chair, that as part of solutions for ensuring that the findings that we have are eventually on long term dealt with, we are working on a structure, organizational structure review, which will be a long term measure, because most of the issues are more about structural deficiency, like I said. We are running short of what we really need in terms of expertise, because we don't have positions in the structure as it stands now. So really that is where the issues are. But like I said, Chair, assuring members that we do have interim measures in terms of outsourcing to take care of such issues. Partial payment of salaries. I'm not sure, Chair, if there is any partial payment of salaries at the Botswana Bureau of Standards. Even as much as we are struggling when it comes to challenges financially, we've been paying our staff fully every month without fail. There is no time, Chair, I can assure you, that we have ever paid partial salaries to anybody or did not pay at all at any point in time. Outsourcing, yes. There was a question on outsourcing as to whether we do go out to outsource our testing. I did mention that, Chair. Members will remember in my presentation that indeed when it comes to certification, we do a lot of tests outside the country because of lack of capacity. And I did say in terms of solutions, we are looking at both NDP 12 and our own internal measures of collaboration with other potential partners, which I said we have since appointed a committee that is specifically looking at engaging, identifying potential collaborators or partners who can bring funds and help us offer the services that we so much need. Fixed assets, Member will take care of that. Training of inspectors. I'm not sure, Honorable Aaron, if I got it correctly. You are talking about conflict of interest.
Yes, what I was saying was they seem to be that with regard to your training, inspection, and certification and enforcement, yes. How do you avoid that to appear where it's one man's show? Yes.
Thank you. Now I understand the question, Chair. We have different functions that are doing different operations. We have training unit under the Department of Commercial Enterprises, focusing mainly on providing training. They are not involved in inspections. They are focusing mainly on offering training. And then we have the Department of Regulatory Compliance, responsible for enforcement of compulsory standards. Those are the ones who are dealing with inspections. So there is no conflict between the two insofar as those areas are concerned. Unless maybe I don't understand the question clearly, but if that is the case, that really there is no conflict between the two. They are well delineated and demarcated between the two. There is a clear division of labor between the two functions. Certain, you did also, Honorable Aaron, through the chair, insist on us having to look at trying to further focus on inclusivity of our MSMEs. We agree completely with you, sir. Actually, like I said earlier, it's a measure that we are working on with the ministry. The ministry is also looking at the same idea within the limits of the standards, like you said. So we agree with you. It's something that we are looking into to see how best we can be as inclusive as we can for our MSMEs, because really we are also concerned as Botswana Bureau of Standards that we would want, because our duty, like I said earlier, is to promote standardization and quality assurance in the provision of commodities and the rendering of services, necessarily meaning we have to facilitate trade, we have to facilitate industrial development, and therefore it is our concern as well to make sure that inclusivity is realized, and we are working on it. I believe in the future, as we come before you, you will see some improvement in that regard, Chair. Thank you.
Follow up.
Let's follow up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I didn't really get justice to the questions that I posed, and especially the last two ones, when I asked about which countries help BOPS to do the tests, samples, and how that then impacts on Botswana's economy. I didn't really...
I missed them. Very sorry about that. I missed those two.
Oh, I thought
you are very right. No, you are very right. I missed those two, Chair. Countries. The one major country is our neighbor, South Africa. We are using SABS most of the time. Members will also appreciate that one thing that we are lacking when it comes to our business as a standards body, especially conformity assessment services, is that we do not have adequate private sector within Botswana providing conformity assessment services, providing testing, providing certification, providing inspections. This is not the case in other jurisdictions such as South Africa, which is our closest neighbor. So most of the time we are using it, but with as well as other countries, but mostly South Africa, because they do have what we need. They have the private sector. The SABS has also been there for a very long time. They have more capacity in terms of testing or conformity assessment than we do. But we are working towards that as Botswana Bureau of Standards and as a nation. As I mentioned, the national quality policy. It's more about that. It's about getting there slowly. How does it impact our economy? Chair, to be candid, the fact of the matter is the outsourcing on its own is both helping on one hand in the sense that you get your samples tested eventually, even though we don't have capacity within the country. That is one, on one hand. But on the other, it brings about high cost of certification and testing. It brings about long turnaround times. And therefore, these two issues on their own result on impeding or affecting industrial development adversely, because turnaround times are very, very important to the industry, to the private sector, to the business. And high cost of certification fees is also adversely impacting the private sector. So necessarily, on the other hand, that is the impact. It's a negative impact on the economy. So we have to be as candid as we can in that regard. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I think you have done reasonably well. Luckily, no, I'm impressed. Thank you so much. Committee, I'm co-parent is not impressed. I can't tell us if ke ra gore nyame ya go tswelela le dira tiro e ntle nna ke lebogile on behalf of the committee le ya kwapa sedumalane ke ba tseela tshwetso ke yone marapo a go nna chair a re tota eno batla le hire batho ba bantsi re na le kgweto e ntsi ya gore le create employment re na le one kgweto e ntsi ya gore le align le the true north ya puso e ntšha ke tshwanetse eta go eta re next time re bitsa be le morona gore le createile tiro tse kae la reng ka true north e re tsamaelana gore ya mandate wa puso e ntšha mme gone ke taneela ne ke sa leboge ke taneela honorable Sidombo gore a le lebogo wena o ta tsena kgantele a le leboge mo boemong ba committee.
Yeah, me thank you, Modulestilo Kere. Ke tse sebaka se go leboga kgota ga lona le dikarabo tsa lona tse e leng gore tota you were not hiding anything. So tota re tlhoka badiredi ba e leng gore tota ha ba dira tiro ba e dira ka botswapelo le go batla gore ba go nne le maduo a e leng gore a kaisa le ha tshelela Botswana ko pele mme jaaka gongwe like what Honorable Kwapa was saying gore le hire tota those positions that were not filled, please make sure that they are filled, go tswalwa those gaps and go ta dira le gore mandate a lona le ha le tswa le o dire more effectively go na le jaaka le o dira gompieko. I thank you, Chair. Over to you.
Thank you, Chair.
Apalete Metsinyana.
When I see you one.
My name is Arafat, Honorable Arafat Kichokan. I'm the Member of Parliament for Mulepola North. I'm also the chairperson of this committee. I'm going to allow my committee members to introduce themselves.
Honorable Chair, my name is Jeremiah Jerry Frenzel, Member of Parliament for Shasha West. I'm a member of this committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is simply Umpimetse Kwapa, Member of Parliament for Johnny Mabutsani, and I also happen to be a member of this committee. Thank you.
Tumelang, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Gai Feles Dombo, Member of Parliament for Donota, member of this committee.
Dumelang, ke bidiwa go te Tlhabologo Furniture, ke leloko la komiti yone ke Parliamenta ko Tatio Botlhaba.
Good morning. My name is Gabriel Malebang, Clerk of the National Assembly and the First Secretary for the committee.
Good morning. My name is Khamang Ulibele. I'm the technical advisor to the committee. Dumelang, ke dua Mbaki Manyake, ke emetse Auditor General.
Good morning. My name is Samuel Diani from the Office of Accountant General.
Good morning. My name is Rapelande Zinkau from the Attorney General.
Good morning. My name is Chris Mfila, Director for Parliamentary Services and Second Secretary of this very committee.
Good morning. For the record, names are Theo Seleto for the Office of the Parliamentary Council.
Good morning. My name is Wame Mbeha, Deputy Director, Parliamentary Services Department.
Okay. Thank you. Now, give the opportunity to BIUST to introduce the delegation.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My name is Elisha Shemang, the Acting Vice Chancellor of Botswana International University of Science and Technology.
Good morning, honorable members. My name is Saramitsi Moemedi, the Acting Director of Finance. Thank you.
Yes.
Could you say?
My name is Soraya Sabaki. I'm the Director for Information Technology and BUIST.
Good morning. My name is Hadi Kisiya. I'm from the Office of the Vice Chancellor of the BIUST.
Good morning, honorable members. My name is Fatou Somafati. I'm the Director of Legal Services. Good morning, honorable members. Vincent Mpori, Director of Finance.
Good morning, honorable members. My name is Paul Moore. I'm the Acting Chief of Operations.
Procedure, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Ke dumela gore ba ntse ba introduce, but ke dumela gore mo Batswana ga ba bone. So e ka re ba introduce tsela mo le hihing hela. I think it could have been much wiser gore ka bana ba buela mo di tshwantshong hale Batswana ba bone. Thank you.
So re kopa gore le dirise mic le o tobetse hela le te le utlwaneng.
Good morning, honorable. Good morning to the House. My name is Nantu Mokobi. I'm Director Internal Audit and Risk at BIUST. Thank you.
Good morning, honorable members. Ke bidwa ke nanao Kevin Masupe. Ke mokwaledi le mokwadisi wa University Secretary and Registrar.
Good morning, honorable members. My name is Seretse Bahupi. I'm the Director for Information Technology at BOTSWANA International University of Science and Technology. Thank you.
Good morning, honorable members. I am Khadi Wutsile Chakandi Nakira. I am from the Office of the Vice Chancellor at BIUST.
Morning again, honorable members. I'm Paul Mori. I'm the Acting Chief of Operations at BIUST.
Good morning, honorable members. I am Vincent Mporimeng, Director for Strategy Management and Planning. Thank you.
Good morning, honorable members. My name is Papiso Makwati. I'm the Director, Legal Services and Governance at BIUST.
Thank you so much. It means we are going to request at least 3 people for oath. Now is the time for the oath. Witnesses are reminded that the proceedings are under oath. You have been summoned to give evidence before this Parliament Committee on Statutory Bodies and State Enterprises. The evidence you will give before this committee will be on oath or affirmation, and must be truthful in terms of the oath or affirmation you shall take before the giving of your evidence. You have the option to swear to oath or on the Bible by putting your left hand on the Bible and with your right hand raised. Declare as follows. You may kindly indicate your option if you are electing. Are you swearing or affirmation?
I'll swear.
I, your names,
Elisha Shemang,
do hereby swear that
do hereby swear that
the evidence I shall give before this committee
the evidence that I shall give before this committee
shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing else but the truth.
and nothing else but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. Yes. I
I, Sarameti Mwenedi,
do hereby swear that
do hereby swear that
the evidence I shall give before this committee
evidence that I give to this committee
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
and
nothing else but the truth.
nothing else but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. Swear. I
Manto Mokobi,
do hereby swear that
do hereby swear that
the evidence I shall give before this committee
the evidence I shall give before this committee
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
and
nothing else but the
and
truth.
nothing else but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. Ha o re wa o tlhoka gore go na le ntse re tsweletse o mongwe a tlhoka gore a kgele re tamo swere sa gapele. On behalf of the Statutory Body Committee, I welcome you to this committee. Your attendance is appreciated. This examination is part of the Parliament's oversight responsibility. We welcome your cooperation and thoughtful responses to the members of the committee. I'm now going to invite the accounting officer to present. Please limit your presentation to key issues and highlights of the mandate, financial performance, governance, auditors' reports, and BAWA, PPRA, and other regulators' reports. I'm only going to give you 15 minutes to do your presentation. Thank you, Accounting Officer.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, honorable members, for this time that we come before you to update you on BIUST. BIUST is the University of Science and Technology based in Palape. It started in 2012 in OD before we moved to Palape in 2014, where it is currently sitting as a permanent base. It was established by an Act of Parliament for it to operate as a science, technology, and innovation university. The purpose of the university is to provide higher education and training, to undertake, promote, and facilitate research and scholarly investigations, to advance the dissemination of knowledge through skills, teaching, learning, and practical skills training. It is meant to contribute to national, international, scientific, and technological development. It's supposed to support and contribute to realization of the national economic and social development, to contribute to the cultural and social life of the community, and to advance intellectual and human resource capacity of the international community. That is the mandate of BIUST. So BIUST has a clear vision. The vision is to be an entrepreneurial, research-based university of science, engineering, and technology, internationally recognized for its quality. We emphasize that, and its excellence. That's our vision. And our mission is to drive cutting-edge research in all areas of science, engineering, and technology, support innovation, and contribute to industrial growth, and to development of a diversified knowledge economy for the country. The university mandate aligns with the National Vision 2036 and the Continental Agenda of 2063. That's what drives us. The governance of the university, honorable members, has a council as a strategic oversight that oversees everything. You have the Senate that deals with academic governance, teaching, research, and examinations. Then you have the executive management team that implements strategy, which is led by the Office of the Vice Chancellor. Then you have what we call the Student Representative Council, which is a key part of governance in the university. The university has developed a transformative plan for what we call a 2023 to 2028 strategic plan. It therefore anchors in key priorities, which center around research impact, academic quality, and institutional excellence. So the strategic values include innovation, which is key, one of our top mandates, collegiality, equality, equity, and diversity, integrity, high performance, and lifelong learning. Those are our key strategic values. So how do we position BIUST as a strategic direction? It continues to strengthen its position as Botswana's specialized STEM university and research-intensive university. It's recognized internationally through what we call the Times Higher Education ranking, in which BIUST features prominently. And for 2 years, it was ranked #1 in the country. In the Sub-Saharan African Times Higher Education ranking, it was ranked both 20th and 21st in Sub-Saharan Africa. The institutional performance of the university from 2021, it was at 76%. It went down in 2021-22, impact of COVID. It's clear. Then 2023, it went up. Then 2023-24, we were at 89.8, the highest. Then 2024-25, it came down to 85%. So the peak performance was in 2023-24, and our lowest performance was in 21-22, which coincided with COVID. The performance drivers are expansion in research activity and outputs, growth in student enrollment, and increased collaborative with external partnerships. BIUST emphasizes a lot of partnerships and linkages. That is what helps us to drive the university in the midst of funding challenges and difficulties. What are performance constraints? We have low postgraduate throughput. That is basically because of funding for postgraduate studies. All the postgraduate studies we currently undertake are mostly funded by research, won by staff, or what we call a teaching assistantship fund. We set up a particular fund that we use for hiring teaching assistants. They are very key to our delivery of our teaching methodology. They assist in teaching in the labs, and they assist in tutorials. And therefore, they use the stipend from that to be able to fund their postgraduate studies. And that's why we have very low throughput. And because they are working part-time and studying, they might take longer than a normal postgraduate student to graduate. We also have limited commercialization of research outputs. Again, that relates to funding, because you do the research to a particular point. Now to take it into product development requires a different level of funding, which we currently not having properly. We also have infrastructure and funding pressures. We are in Palape. We started with a founding campus. The development has not been very fast as anticipated. So we have a situation where we have limited infrastructure. Students are taught in porta cabins up to now, prefabs. Staff offices are mostly in prefabs. And the students' hostels, so the students sleep in porta cabins and prefabs. So that is a challenge for us. But going forward, we are happy that the government has given us permission to go on and construct the teaching and learning spaces that will transform the teaching of the university. We are also embarking on what we call a triple P, with the government permission to construct 3,000-bed hostels for students. That will improve the living environment for students, and that will also improve their performance. So our student enrollment has grown from under 700 in 2014 to over 2,000 in 2025. And our graduation rates remain stable at between 75 and 78%. And we are currently continuously reviewing our curriculum. We work closely with industry. Each department has what we call the Industrial Advisory Board, where you have partners from industry sitting there to contribute and participate in developing the curriculum to ensure that what we are delivering is what the market currently requires. That we are doing. We are also reviewing our curriculum in lines with the BOTSWANA Qualification Authority, the National Credit Qualification Framework, to align all our programs with that, in addition to developing new niche programs that are going to be offered. So we introduce and monitor our strategy yearly. The council presides oversight. The schools and units undertake the strategy, and then at the employee level, everybody has a level of performance, a contract that is signed to be able to deliver at the end of the year. Because we have to work together as a team to deliver the mandate of the university. And therefore, we produce institutional performance reports, which are approved by council. We have an operational business review, and then we have the employee appraisal done and calibrated by committee. So that's how we monitor things. Let me go to the financial performance of the university. The university, being a new and growing university, has been experiencing financial pressure, because when the cuts started coming, we were not spared as a new kid. Everything was applied, and therefore the effect is felt more by us, because we are yet to develop the resources and the facilities to be able to ensure that we are resilient. Therefore, we continue to experience budget cuts up to the extent that in 2025, we had a wide, significant variation of 46.9 million. That was driven by the tuition fees that were not paid when it was due. It was dragged into the next financial year, and then there also was a budget cut that came in during the implementation of the budget. So what are the key trends? The subvention increased from 436.6 million in 2022 to 480.6 million in 2026. The tuition fee grew from 62.9 million to 88 million, driven by fee adjustment and marginal enrollment growth. Other income stream remains flat because of challenges on facilities and other resources that we can use to do. So the overall growth of the university has been insufficient to offset the rising operational costs. Because it is a developing university, you need to engage the necessary staff required to be able to deliver your critical mandate. So the key cost drivers continue to remain mostly remuneration to staff. We are at a situation where currently we have about 80% to 20%. Because each time there's a budget cut, we don't cut on the staff. What gets cut is the operations. So the operations continue to get strained continuously as the budgets are being cut. So we have what we call the key risk indicators. The key risk indicators we have as a university is a deficit that we have that we've been running with about 154.2 million that has been there. And we have to work towards ensuring that we address that deficit. So what are the key financial risks? Rising staff costs, which comes because now that we have the BQA, you need to accreditate your staff. It comes with cost. You need to train them. Nobody is allowed to go into the class now until you have been registered as an assessor and moderator. That comes with cost. Then we have examiners that moderate externally. That comes with cost. So it continues to rise. And one of the heavy risks we have is continuous reliance on government subvention. Once there's a cut, we suffer greatly. We have weak diversification, and therefore our liquidity position is deteriorating. But we are working to bring some interventions. One of the key interventions is to cut staff costs. And next, we need to strengthen revenue diversification and third stream income. Along that line, Honorables, we have set up what we call the BIUST enterprise, which is a company, a vehicle we are using to generate revenue. So going forward, we need to aggressively pursue that to ensure that we can generate third stream income that will be able to sustain the university going forward. We need to tighten control over short-term liabilities and all that. In research and innovation, we have grown and we have achieved a lot in terms of what we have done, knowing that we are just 14 years old as a university. So we host key programs like the OR Tambo Chair in climate change is at BIUST, funded by the OR Tambo Foundation. We have the UNESCO Chair in sustainable manufacturing and innovation technologies. We have key participation in what we call the square kilometer array. BIUST is the host that is there, and then the Botswana satellite project. So what we need to do is to ensure that we pull together on these projects and move further. One of the key milestones is that we have 4 patents that have been filed, and we have what we call a good financial practice from the donors and funders internationally. And then we have the integration of the research and the financial management systems. So just a minute. So thank you, colleagues. In conclusion, BIUST has demonstrated steadily institutional growth, strong governance, and increasing impact in advancing Botswana's knowledge-based economy. The university clear strategic direction anchored on the transformative strategic plan 2023 to 2028, combined with the strong values, governance systems, research focus, position it as a critical national institution for innovation, human capital development, and economic transformation. While challenges remain, which we acknowledge, particularly in funding, infrastructure, and commercialization, BIUST is well positioned to enhance its performance and expand its impact and strengthen its global competitiveness. To this end, like I said, we have set up a company which we call the BIUST Enterprise to enable the institution commercialize its output. And also we are having partnership investors. We have 2,500 hectares of land. And therefore, we have investors that are approaching BIUST with different investment projects that they can use. They can invest in BIUST, which will be used to generate revenue and for training and development of both staff and students. So those projects have been conceived. They have not yet reached a level of maturity and all that. But the BIUST enterprise is currently operational and has done some projects for corporations like Botswana Power Corporation and the rest. Thank you, honorable members. The details are in the package that we submitted. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I'm now going to give honorable members the opportunity for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for offering me the opportunity to be the first one to ask the questions against BIUST. Mr. Chairman, governance and financial management control weaknesses present significant risks to sustainability and effectiveness of BIUST mandate. These financial indicators, Mr. Chairman, together with other matters noted in the financial statements, has given rise to a material uncertainty regarding the university's ability to continue as a growing concern. So my first question, Mr. Chairman, is, you see, in relation to tabling of the report, why was the annual report and financials not tabled in Parliament in line with the Act for a long time, that is from 2019 up to date? Second question is, what success rate has been achieved in implementing the following strategic objectives? Entrepreneurial drive and business growth. You want to jot them down? Mr. Chairman, I can see that they're just jotting down. I don't know whether to start afresh or just continue where I was. All right, thank you. Business growth and financial stability. The third one being, how does the current student enrollment and graduation output compare against strategic plan targets? Fourth one is within asset base growing from 1.61 billion in 2022 to 1.83 billion in 2025, supported by continued infrastructure investment, particularly in projects under construction. How far is the completion of these projects? And are they still within the budget? Because as the acting chancellor has just stated, he said they are practicing good financial practices. So the question would be, if they are not within the budget, how much has been spent so far? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You can take another question. Let's take 2 questions then. Number 2. Come on. It's a number 2, but it's only number 2.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll proceed maybe to the second question. The auditors have noted that during the year, the university reported a deficit of 33.35 million. That is in the year 2022, 54.26 million, 2021, 14.6 million. As at 31st March 2023, the accumulated deficit was 229.79 million. For the year 2022, 191.3 million, 2021, 137.2 million. So the question is, what are the main drivers of these recurring deficits? And what is the long-term strategy to reduce dependence on government funding? And the last one would be, at what point does management consider the university to be financially unsustainable, and has any consideration of restructuring, downsizing, or any other measures? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'm giving them to take last question, first round of question, then I hand it over to you. Honorable Franzen.
Honorable Chair, thank you, Accounting Officer, for that presentation. Your university has grown tremendously. Looking at the numbers, the figures that you just said, from 720 in intake in 2020 to
2014.
2014, yeah, in 2014 to 2000 in 2025. It shows it's a big university, and it's rated one of the best, I think, in Southern Africa, like we were saying. Now, my question is, what steps is management taking to strengthen a culture of accountability, compliance, and continuous improvement across all directorates? The other question that I've got is, given the control failures and non-compliance with financial regulations, how has the University Council exercised its oversight role to ensure management is held accountable for those weaknesses? And the other question, Honorable Chair, that I've got is in regard to the student strike. The university has gone through a number of students' protests that even led to the closure of the school. I think it was around February this year.
Yes.
Explain the root cause of persistent students' protests at BIUST and the measures taken to address the issue to avoid future reoccurrence. And lastly, Honorable Chair, there was a court case some time back in regard to the whistleblower. Can you briefly explain what was the cause? What was the cause and how did the case end? Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Your turn. Accounting Officer.
Thank you very much, Honourable. I'll start with the first questions. Annual reports not being tabled in Parliament. BIUST produces its annual report and submits to the ministry, that is our supervising ministry. And we believe that from there, it is from there that it goes to Parliament. Yes, it has not been presented for some time, but from the BIUST side, we always produce our reports and we submit them on time to ensure that we do not break any laws and all that. Entrepreneurship and business growth is one of the key things that we are looking at BIUST, because we intend to, if you look at most international universities, the university needs to raise its revenue up to 40% at least. So you can get 60% from government. Some go up to 50-50, depending, of course, on the environment in which you are operating. We know the challenges we face in the environment because of limited industrialization. Most of the universities internationally get their funds from industrial partners or from their alumni. Our alumni is, less than 10 years? So it's still a young group of graduates that we have, even though they are doing very well in the economy. So they are not yet in a position to provide support for the university to ensure it is sustainable. But we are proud of them. They are very active and they are very passionate about their university. So we are doing everything to use the knowledge of the staff in BIUST. We have a wide talent pool, which is international, that we can draw from to be able to raise money and ensure that we grow the university in a sustainable manner to ensure financial stability. And one of the keys that I mentioned earlier about financial stability is setting up what we call a BIUST enterprise that will help us to generate revenue, doing consultancy projects for government, for private sector, both locally and internationally, and that brings in money for the university to ensure that we remain sustainable. The enrollment, yes, it continues to grow. BIUST is an institution that a lot of the young kids want to come to. Every year, those who apply to come to BIUST, we just take a very low percentage because of the facilities and the resources. The initial projection of BIUST by this time is that we should be having about 6,000 students on campus, with more than 25% of those students being postgraduate students, both locally and internationally. But because of the inherent challenges in infrastructure, we cannot progress as we had planned to. But it still continues to be. Now we are embarking on enrollment applications. We will have over 1,000 plus now. But we know that at the end of the day, we can't even take more than 50% of that. And a lot of these kids are going to get disappointed because they can't find places because of infrastructure. Yes, we have moved assets from 1.61 to 1.85 billion. Because of the new projects, the student center has just been completed. It is open to the students and it has really helped in reducing and providing space for students to read. Before, we had serious challenges because they just go from their hostels to their class, and most of the time the classes are occupied from one lecture to the other. So in between classes, they really don't have anywhere. But now with the student center, there's a lot of reading spaces that is available for them and all that. The student center was completed. Yes, there were some adjustments. Remo Ray is here to help, but they came basically because of the design. A typical example was that the roof initially was designed, it has to be produced from Germany. But we looked at it as a steering committee, said, no, we can't do that. If we have a problem with the roof, we can't wait for the engineers to come from Germany. So it had to be redesigned. And the roof was produced and sourced from South Africa, which is close by, and all that. So those caused some slight delay, but yes, the project was completed and to specification, and it's there. It is one of the projects that is making the campus looking more lively and all that. So it really enhances the environment. Auditors report the financials. With your permission, can I ask the finance director to assist? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Auditors' report have been submitted to our parent ministry, and we should note that the period under review from 2022 up to 2025, BIUST have unqualified report which has been signed and submitted to the ministry. We are up to date in terms of our external audit. We are currently preparing to audit the 2026 year. And another member have asked about the issue of going concern. Yes, we have noted over the years, that is another audit finding that keep recurring. Reason being that our liabilities exceed our assets. And if you go to the details of the financial statement that has been submitted, we have the payroll provisions that take significant amount of the liabilities. So the suppliers, the amount is very insignificant. So yes, we acknowledge that we should have, over the years, we should have made at least a fund for the leave liability and gratuity so that when they fall due, we get the funds from that fund. And currently it's draining our cash flow because we are taking it from the subvention from year to year. And with regard to the deficit, what caused deficit? Why are we currently having accumulated? If we look into our approved subvention over the years, and then we go back to 2021, the approved subvention was 563, and we only received 496. And 5 years down the line, we still have that subvention of 482, but the costs are increasing year to year out. So, and most of our costs are fixed costs, which is the staff cost and which is bills. So there's nothing that we can't reduce that. So literally, we are really strained in terms of repairs, we are really into other operating expenses. So currently, we are only focusing on the fixed cost and the staff cost, which were like that in 2020, 2021, and we are currently 2026, 2027 with the same amount. Thank you.
Yeah, the long-term strategy to ensure that we reduce dependency on government is what I've said. We have a pull to our competitive advantages, the intellect we have, and the smart students we have also. We have some of the smartest students you can get around. So it's to work with them. We use our knowledge to generate revenue, to be able to ensure that we are sustainable and we reduce dependency on government through the BIUST enterprise, through the PPP projects, through the investment projects that we have initiated. We believe that going forward, we'll be able to be sustainable. Steps taken to strengthen accountability. Yes, as a university, we have taken stringent measures to ensure that people are held accountable for what they do. The council takes serious issues with that to ensure that things that are supposed to have been done are done. Because we, as management, reports to council at every quarterly meeting. There is a report which council examines, and then they give directives on who needs to do that, what and who needs to be sanctioned or whatever. So the issue of accountability is taken very seriously, both by the oversight body, which is the council that leads BIUST. Student protests. Yes, it is unfortunate that we continue to have this, but the driving factors of student protests has always been the living conditions. Like I said, students live in prefabs. So the prefabs are even better. The porter cabins are the worst. And we have to be honest. We're all on this side, none of us is happy with the conditions there. And those are one of the major drains of our resources. You fix something today, you leave, by the time you get there, the following day that it has broken down. So that is the continuous expenditure that we continue to have. Then we have engaged our ministry, they are quite aware of the challenges. That is why they gave us the approval to go ahead and embark on the PPP to be able to ensure that we provide hostels, and that will reduce it. Also, the teaching spaces, like I said, poses a challenge. The teaching is taking place in prefabs. When it is summer, it is very hot. You know Palape very well. You have to constantly be fighting to maintain the air conditions, the cost of maintenance. And so at one stage or the other, some of one or two of the rooms might not be conducive for teaching, all because of the nature of the infrastructure and all that. So the environment is not totally conducive for them. So they tend to vent that out. And that is what happens from time to time because of the frustrations of not having a good accommodation to live in and all that. But both the council and management is working very hard to address that, to ensure if we have the 3,000 bed spaces, which will now include both undergraduate and postgraduate accommodation, that will take off a lot of stress from, and the living and learning conditions of the university will change. In addition, when the teaching and learning spaces are constructed, which we are very happy the government gave the go-ahead, that will change everything. So the living and learning environment of the university will change. Even students and staff will now have the energy and the motivation to now think of how we can together generate income to be able to sustain the university. And some of those infrastructure also can be used as ways to generate revenue. The court case of the whistleblower, Honorable, I'm unable to comment on that because it's a case pending in court up to now.
Let me chip into this. There's no, the case has not been,
no,
there's no court order on the case.
No.
There's no judgment.
No judgment yet, still pending.
Still pending before the court?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted, before I give to others, about the, you have this BUIST enterprise.
Yes.
Yeah. It has got a CEO. How many projects has the CEO delivered? And do you have any pending invoices pertaining the BUIST enterprise?
Yes, Chair. One of the key projects that delivered was the surveillance of the BPC cables using drones. Before BPC, when there's a power outage, somebody has to go and be looking for where the problem is. But using drones, they fly over, they can easily identify the problem, and it is quickly fixed. That project has been done. This week, was it last week? BPC made the first payment, part of the project, and the other part is still pending because the final report has not been submitted. There are other projects also they have been pursuing that are yet to fully mature because it's a new business organization. The key thing the CEO is doing is going around engaging companies and organizations to ensure that, to put a profile of the company, what BIUST can do for them, which will be cheaper than doing it somewhere else and all that. So it's a buy-in that is when we have several projects we have proposed, some with Botswana Telecom, some with Botswana Post and all that. So they are still under discussion. Hopefully if they come to fruition, they will be able to generate some revenue.
Are you able to share the amount of the pending?
How much did it be?
The pending amount is the pending amount in terms of the outstanding for enterprises around 2.3 million.
Honorable Kwape.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have only 2 follow-up questions relating to the questions that I earlier on asked. In his answer, Mr. Chairman, he said that BIUST submits to the ministry the annual report. So my question is, in as much as you are getting funding from the government, has it been of concern to you to maybe ask the minister whether or why he is not even tabling the financials in Parliament? That being the first question, Mr. Chairman. And the second one, I remember that I asked about the amount spent so far in relation to the projects. I don't know whether this is deliberate not to be given an answer in relation to that one. And I guess that I had asked for candid answers. So I don't know whether that is deliberate or what, not to be given the figures. The last one that I asked was in relation to the management considering whether to restructure or downsize or any other measures. Still, I have not been given an answer to those questions that I asked. So I don't know whether this is deliberate. Like I said, I don't know, Mr. Chairman. I'm just giving it to you. Thank you.
There, let me get in also. There's an issue of the appointment of the former VC, whose tenure ended this year, February, to a full professor. Was the university recruitment process followed? Was there a vacancy to the position he has been appointed to? The last question is, has BIUST ever booked accommodation for students at hotels, lodges, and guest houses in Palapi? Thank you. Then, Fraser.
Honorable Chair. You said the main cause of students striking was the issue of living conditions. And you even said if maybe if you could have accommodation of at least 3,000 students in campus, this was going to be resolved. I just want to know, how many students do you offer accommodation in campus? Those who are staying within the premises, how many students do you, are you having in, and those who are staying outside? I just want to know the figures of those who are staying in campus and those who are staying out of campus. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Honorable Accounting Officer.
Thank you, honorable members. Sorry, Honorable Kwape, I didn't deliberately not answer your question. It's just that maybe I didn't. Tabling of financials in Parliament, yes.
Correction, Mr. Chairman. My names are not Kwape, it's Kwapa.
Okay, Kwapa, sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry, Honorable. My apologies. Yes, you are right. We have not pursued the ministry to ensure the financials are tabled in Parliament. That could be our own fault. So we acknowledge that. The project, the cost of the student center, I can't pull it off head. Yes. Because the projects are under him.
Error. Left hand. Oh, I,
Paul Mori,
do hereby swear that. Do hereby swear that.
Do hereby swear that.
The evidence I shall give before this committee
The evidence I shall give before this committee
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing else but the truth.
and nothing else but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
The question was about the project, and I want to believe that the project that we are speaking about is the student center building. The initial contract sum for that project was 239 million pula. In the process of construction, there were many other factors that came into play, and those factors motivated for variations that the university couldn't run away from. And I want to state here that in the first thing that we think about is how best we can control costs, how best we can contain costs to avoid cost overruns. So whatever it is that we did, we had to do. One of the things that contributed to the increase in cost was the challenges with global supply chains. The disruptions that were caused by COVID from 2019, they resulted in increase in prices. And that did have an effect on how much, of course, we will end up paying for that project. The other things are the functionality of design. For a project of the magnitude of 239 million, even if you have the best of designers, you'll always find something that you have to do differently, particularly from a functionality perspective, where you see on site, other than on drawings, that this would better work if it was positioned in this way or that way. And that is why we had those material rises or increase in costs. But the one thing that I want to highlight is we are careful not to go over the allowed cap. The allowed cap is about 25%, and our cost variations came to about 20% of the contract sum. So it was still within the allowable limit. And I must hasten to add that the project has delivered commercial units that will allow the university to generate revenue in the form of commercial units that are now in the process of being leased. And we also have a big amphitheater that could sit over 1,000 people. These are facilities that will be rented out to the community or to whoever needs to use them to generate funds for the university. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Follow up on the number of students that you offer accommodation in campus.
Okay. You'll do with that.
I was going to answer that. I just wanted
okay.
to help
thank
me
you.
with it.
Thank you.
Thank you. The last question was for, have we thought of restructuring or downsizing? Like I said, BIUST is an evolving university. When we got caught in the climate of financial challenges, we are developing and evolving. If I take you to the campus and see how many modules some of the lecturers are teaching, it's simply because we have shortage of staffing to support. But these are courses that are in high demand. They are courses that are good for the country and for the economy. And therefore, if you say we have to downsize, it means that we have to go backwards, cutting down on the number of students. Because most of the cost you have is for the core business, the teaching and the learning. So that's the challenge we have. So the only way we can get out of that conundrum is to raise funds to be able to sustain the university. We have a number of programs that are in high demand, but we can't launch them because we can't recruit lecturers because of the challenges that we have. So it's a multifaceted problem that we have. So it's not an easy that you can just restructure and downsize. Then so other operational problems will come in. and the university will not be able to run. The issue of accommodation, yes, there was a time because of the number of students who were requested to admit. The minister is quite aware of that. We had a long discussion about that because it was beyond our capacity. But we had to admit them anyway because it was under directive. So therefore, when they were coming, we had challenges on where to put them. Some were put in some lodges for a short time while we rearranged our spaces to put them there. Yes, that did happen. The number of students we have on campus are 2,500, and then we have about 450 out of campus. But still, the university is the one providing for the accommodation of those ones out of campus. Because we have hostels that we rented from BPC, which they were using for training before, which they gave to the university, which we renovated, and we are accommodating students there. We also rented some apartments from BHC, which we are using to accommodate the students. For now, we are accommodating all our undergraduate students. The postgraduate students, we don't offer accommodation because we don't have. That's what is going on. The issue of appointment of the former Vice Chancellor to the position of a professor. Yes, he was appointed in line with the statutes of the university and due process was followed. In most universities, that is the norm and the standard, that you have a Vice Chancellor. I'm sitting here, my basis is I'm a professor. So when I leave there, I go back to the class. That's why the Vice Chancellor will always refer to himself as the first among equals. Because you are Vice Chancellor today, tomorrow you are in the class teaching the subject that you are used to. So yes, he was appointed when his term came to an end, but it was in line with the university's appointments, procedures, and in line with the university statutes.
As a follow-up, so even if there's no vacancy, you just get automatically appointed.
There was a vacancy.
That's what I asked.
Okay, sorry, yes, there was a vacancy.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, let me follow up, then I give.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Allow me to ask this, maybe for the last time, Mr. Chairman. I raised a concern as to why my questions are being evaded, but even as of now, I'm not getting any answers. I asked in a follow-up question as to whether you are concerned about the financials not being tabled before the Parliament. I didn't get that answer. So the other last simple one was simply to state the figure as to how much you spent on the project. I didn't want reasons as to why you made some variations. I just needed to know how much you spent so far on the project. I don't know whether that is too difficult or what, or maybe it's deliberate like I've been asking. I don't know. I'm asking for the last time. How much has been spent so far on the projects? And are you concerned about the financials be tabled or not? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Please note it down. I'm calling as a follow-up. How much was spent on the accommodation at the hotels? And are you saying that the directive to get more students, more than the capacity, was from the minister? Or you briefed the minister that you are booking people? Please clarify that the issue. Then I'm going to give the Honorable Fenish and Honorable Sidomo to ask questions so that we can take them, all of them.
You don't know
Please note that down. Honorable Fenish.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think my interest will be on implementation of BAU recommendations, if there are any. I would like to know that there were any recommendations to your organization by BAO. Which recommendations remain outstanding, if at all there were recommendations? Were there any agreed timelines? If yes, why those timelines were not met? That's what I want to understand. Lastly, how is the management ensured that governance instruments required by BAO are fully adopted and operational? Those are my questions. I shall submit, Mr. Chair.
Honorable Sidobo.
Yes, sir. Yes, Chair. My questions would be on audit recommendations. Audit has made a recommendation that you formalize policies and procedures to address anti-money laundering requirements. How has this matter been addressed? 2, how many former employees were still active in the system, and what assurance can management provide to that no unauthorized payments were made as a result of this control weaknesses? 3, the internal auditors went to several findings only been addressed after audits, rather than proactively. What risk management framework is in place to identify and mitigate risk early, and why are controls weakness only been detected during audit? 4, why did the university continue using a supplier noted as Vivo after the contract has expired and approved? And who approved the expired contract? The Vivo contract?
Sorry, I didn't get the last one. You said the name of the supplier.
Who approved the expired contract of this contract that you had with the supplier? Did the executive officer manage to sign the contract? Please provide evidence that the contract expiry issue was resolved. Thank you, Chair.
Accounting officer. Start with Honorable Kwape's question. He has asked many questions, but he has not been responded many times, but he has not been responded to.
Okay, the sum that has been paid so far is 270 million.
Are you fine?
For now, I'm fine. I'm waiting for the
Yes, the tabling of finances in Parliament, like I said, Honorable, we are quite concerned and we are aware. And we said, yes, we accept that we didn't pursue with the minister to ensure that those things are tabled in Parliament. But we are quite concerned. We know that these are funds from government. After they have been audited and used, they need to be tabled in Parliament for discussion. But we didn't do that, yes. So there is no use to denying, or we know we didn't do that. We didn't follow up with the ministry to ensure that they have been tabled. Yeah, the audit reports, the BAO reports, yes, we have been audited by BAO, and we are using their audit reports and all that. So there were 12 findings, and some have been resolved. The other outstanding are on policies on CSR and remuneration, and on board assessment, the governing board assessment, which we have not done. mostly due to finances. So the board needs to be assessed, and we need to bring an assessor to do that. But the financial challenges have always made things very difficult for us to be able to do that. But going forward is something we need to know. We need to assess the board and see whether it is serving the purpose it was set up to be. Audit recommendations and anti-money laundering. Yes, we did notice that, and policies have been developed and processes and procedures put in place to comply with all that was said about anti-money laundering. So that has been taken care of, and we are compliant with that. Former employees on the system. What used to happen was when an employee leaves, because of our cash flow challenges, you might not have money to pay off their dues. So they are deactivated from all other parts of the university. They are just left when the money comes, they are paid their dues, and they get up. Masi Hamiti, you are here, you can assist me with that. Internal audit findings. Yes, we do our internal controls. We make sure that we take care of all those things. But once in a while, there are findings of lapses, which we don't deny. But as soon as they are found and brought to their attention, they move quickly to ensure that we deal with that and put controls to ensure that it doesn't happen going forward. So yes, that does happen. And the supplier expired. I think if I had this correct, it is Vivo, petrol supplies, and all that. That somehow, because of the contract management, got expired. But it was rectified, and it was signed by the CEO then on that, and then because it was about supply of fuels to university vehicles at Shell filling stations.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no, through you, Chair. We have not answered the honorable member with regard to the cost of the guest house figures, and the guest house is in the year 2024-2025 when we rented out for students, and the amount it is close to 3 million. And we also incurred the cost in terms of transporting the students from outside to the university. Reason being that our university is far from the village. So, but the renting of guest houses have been stopped. So we only rent go BHC. So which the management are still looking into to ensure that to stop it gradually so that we don't incur more cost. And another one, we're talking about the audit findings. Why do we wait until the audit is picking those findings? We try by all means to ensure that our control environment is effective. We try all means to ensure that at the time of audit, we don't have audit findings. But the purpose of the audit is to come and see what are you fully compliant with the FRS. So in terms of the AML, yes, we were registering the amount that is more than 10,000, but we didn't have any policy and procedures. Currently, we have developed the policy which is in a draft stage to be approved by the board. And together with the payment outside the payroll, the procedure has also been submitted to the audit committee, which will be approved, and the findings will be closed in the next audit. Thank you.
Yeah, on the issue of the enrollment of students, that was a bit abnormal. Yes, it was a directive. The new system they introduced for funding students. Students go into the system and they choose where they want to study. So a number of them chose to come to BIUST. And even though we complain that we we are not able to handle those number of students. We are still told to take them.
Directive from who?
From the ministry.
Okay. I think we can take the last session of questions. Let me start. Does the executive management have a credit card? And if yes, what is the use of the credit card? Other questions from honorable members?
No, mine will be a piece of advice. I don't think it will be, it's a question as such. I'm looking at the amount that was spent on students' accommodation. The 3 million plus the transportation, I think it was just too much. I think the management has to look carefully into that and see how we avoid those extra monies. We were just talking, when we were doing your presentation, you said something of the fixed costs and that you can't afford this other cost that are incurred. But the 3 million that was spent on accommodation, I think it has to be avoided, and more especially paying the guest houses. That means those guest houses in Palapia enjoying. I wonder the 450 students that were accommodated in those guest houses. I mean, just as a piece of advice, I think we need to see how we avoid those costs. Of course, you said something of maybe gradually cutting off this cost, but I think we have to get rid of them. Let's see how we avoid those costs, because 3 million is just a lot of money. It's just a lot of money. I think we have to get rid of that, Honorable Chair. It was just a piece of advice. Thank you.
Next questions from Honorable Furniture, Honorable Sidombo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mine is an issue concerning the student representative, SRC, the relationship. I just want to understand and know the relationship between the management and the SRC committee in regard to issues that they raise as the students, so that probably you can try to avoid the protest that happened in February, to recare again as a way of creating a rapport or a conducive environment between you and the students. I just want to know what is it that the management is doing to try and close the gap which might be there in the university between the two parties. Thank you so much.
Yes, Chair. My question was how many employers were found in the system? You said yes, they are there, but the question is how many were still active in the system?
Honorable Kwape. The university, my last question. The university was set up to be a research intensive. How many professors does the university have, and how many have been able to attract research funding in this reporting period? I think that's the last question for. These are probably the last questions for the day, for the session.
Through your chair, one of the advices was the cutting cost of the outside rental and guest houses. The public and the members, we should know that this cost was once off due to the number that we have taken on 2024-25 prior the election. And so now we are really working hard to ensure that these costs are minimized. That is why I said the management is currently looking into the fact that even to terminate the lease for BT so that we should not pay rent outside, and also to reduce the expenses that we are incurring to transport the students. But we should also be cognizant that there's also a student relationship there. Palapa is university is far from the village. So that is why I said gradually we need to terminate those leases, but not disrupt everything. And another issue was the issue of a credit card. Yes, the executive have credit cards, and we ensure on month to month to reconcile and to ensure that they are only spending on the expenses that are allowed in the policy of credit card. And in terms of how many people were in the system while they already existed, I think we have 3 staff members there. And the reason why they were still existing in the system was because we have not paid their gratuity at the time of the audit. So that is why they were being left there. Upon paying their gratuities, and that is when we exited them from the system. Thank you.
It's a follow-up.
Okay. Yeah, no, go on. I'll come after you.
Are we able to prove beyond any reasonable doubt that the credit card are being used for the school purposes, not personal purposes? How are you going to prove to us as a committee here?
From where I stand, I know that the credit card are used for the purpose of the university, and we can later on share the expenditure
and the statements.
The statements of
Okay.
what those.
Thank you so much.
On that reporting period to this
Okay.
committee.
Follow up the research.
Honorable Chair. I think my worry will still be on the money that was spent on students' accommodation. I still believe 3 million could have been used to maybe build accommodation for these students. And when you answer in there, you said something like the increment in the intake was prior to elections. So my question is, were you ordered to increase the intake by the government that was in power in 2024? Were you ordered to increase the intake in that year? I just want to know that, because you said something. The reason why I'm asking is because it's you said prior to elections, that was in 2024, the increment went up. So I just want to know if you were ordered to increase the intake in that year. Thank you.
Chair.
Yeah.
Follow up.
Follow up.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's suppose how many people were found in the system? Yes, they were there. They were not paid their gratuity, but how many were there? That's the question.
I answered, Honorable. I said 3 people were found. Yes, sir.
Honorable Furniture.
On the issue of finance, I just wanted you to speak to issue of the wage bill. What is the budget for BIUST wage bill versus the actual wages paid to staff? What's the discrepancy between the budgeted staff numbers and the actual number of staff members at the university? That's what I just wanted you to clarify on that.
Can you
elaborate?
Okay, I just wanted to know the actual wage bill of BIUST staff versus the actual wage bill of paid to staff, because you have the overall wage bill. Probably some of the positions are not filled, so obviously you are not going to pay the total amount of the wage bill. I don't know whether it makes sense.
Thank you, Honorable. In terms of our budget, our bills goes up to 480 million. And yes, there are positions that are vacant that are filled on when there's a need. But our cost, the total wage bill, it depends, like from the 2024 to 25, because there was an increment, there was a PMS that was paid, it was around 507 million. But roughly it is around both 430 to 434 million. So the wage bill also depends on whether there are any gratuities or leave pays that is being paid over the years, because most of our staff are on contract basis. So it varies from year to year. We don't have a stand alone to say in this year our salaries are like 35 million a year. So it depends on when these people have been entering contracts and when they are ending. Honorable.
Thank you. Let me start with the issue of increase in student numbers. Like I said, Honorable, that was done because of the change in funding model of DTF, where students log into the system since they are taking loans. They decide, I want to go to BIUST, I want to read forensic science, I want to do this, I want to do that. So the numbers were more than what we could take. So we did say, no, we will not be able to handle these numbers. So we are asked to admit them because they have chosen to come to BIUST and all that and find a way of handling the increase in numbers. That was what happened. It was from the ministry. They have chosen to come to BIUST, admit them. Yes.
That was in 2024, prior to elections?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That means it was an order.
That's what I said from the ministry. We were told to admit them.
So the previous government had ordered to...
Yeah.
So that's why it raised up.
Yeah, that is why the numbers...
This is what you was wondering.
Yes. I just wanted that to clarify if you were ordered to increase in that year, that year, the 2024. I just wanted that.
Yes, the Honorable, that's what I said. It was in that year. The ministry asked us to admit the students that applied to BIUST
yes,
and took fundings to study there. Because what will normally happen is that we have a cutoff that we can manage. Once we reach there, we stop. Even if you have chosen BIUST and DTF, we will advise you to go and reapply to go to another institution. But we are told to take them.
So it's, I mean, I think it's a simple matter. The reason why the numbers had to go up and why you had to go out of budget was because of the orders that you received from the ministry in 2024.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Yes. Relationship with SRC. Honorable, we have a good relationship with SRC. We relate with them very openly and all that. But you know, even in a family, sometimes misunderstanding comes up. So it was an issue of some slight misunderstanding, and Kevin is here, the university secretary, is not all SRC and all that. There was a kind of breakdown. But we do engage SRC. We have standing meetings that are held between Kevin is the head, the secretary and the head of that division, that they meet regularly to discuss and review what are their issues, what are their challenges, where do they need support. That is the formal engagement. We also have a procedure where they can come at any time to say, look, this is the challenge I have. They have just held a new election. On Friday, I was in my office, the new president came. Say, no, he came to introduce himself and all that. I say, oh, we spoke. Congratulations and all that. So in the weeks to come, we'll meet them formally. But we have always had a cordial relationship with the Students' Representative Council in BIUST. They are taken as part of the important arms of governance. The president sits in the University Council. The Minister of Education sits in the Senate. And they sit in various committees from department to faculties and all that. They have all their representatives there. So that's what I would say about that. Professors in BIUST. Yes, there are a number of professors. Off my head, I can't remember the exact number, but there will probably be about, what, 37 or so. Yes, a number of them have raised research grants. The ones we highlighted here are the major research grants. Like the OR Tambo grant is a grant that comes on almost 3 million pula every year. So the major grants that we're talking about is there, but they do raise their grants. Like I said, they use it to what it gives for fundings to their postgraduate students working in their labs. Yes, we could have done better, but the challenges we have is that currently there is no a national research fund. Most of the grants and awards they use. Okay, the correct number is, is 15 professors and 19 associate professors. The challenges we have is that we don't have a national research fund where they can draw grants for. So all the grants they win are from international funding agencies. And we all know the funding agencies have their own priorities and what they want to fund and all that. So that is the situation as far as the research is concerned.
Good morning, Chair and members. Mine, it's just a follow-up on the annual reports, the tabling. I would like for BIUST to confirm whether indeed they've been producing the annual reports as required, and they've been submitting to the minister. And if so, could they share the copies of such reports? Because there is production of annual financial statements audited, and then there is a requirement for the annual report together with the financial statements that have to be submitted to the minister for tabling. So this is just a follow-up because there was a discussion around that where the CEO was indicated that they've been submitting. I just wanted him to confirm on record that indeed these have been submitted to the minister for the minister to table, and the minister failed to table. Just that. Thank you.
Thank you for the issue of annual reports. I can confirm that we produce our annual reports and we do deliver them, and we can share the copies of those reports with this committee.
Honorable Papa, to be the last one.
Mine is a little bit of concern, Mr. Chairman, because from the answers that were given by the accounting officer, he was saying the result of that student strike was as a result of a slight misunderstanding. I guess it led to the closure of the university. So I'm just asking myself whether I should also expect something worse than that. Should there be a big misunderstanding? Because that one was just a slight misunderstanding.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable. The situation was that the students became unruly. They were now posing a danger and threat to other students who did not want to be part of it, who were going to classes. And they were being chased with weapons and all that. And basically, the crux of the matter is what's about retakes, payment of retake fees. Because DTF had taken a position that they are not going to pay for any student that has retakes. And therefore the university says no. If you look at the Director of Finance can tell you how much was being owed. And we say, no, every student that registered for a module, because you cost per module, you need to pay for your modules. So we're not going to allow students anymore to continue knowing the financial strain we have in the university, the cost we incur in maintaining hostels, in transporting them and all that. And they decided they are not going to, that they won't pay, the university should bear the cost. We say that is not possible. It is between you and your sponsor. The university is just here to teach you and all that. And it was masterminded by the students who were involved in that retakes. The rest of the students were ready to continue with their studies. But the disruption came to a point that They constituted a threat to both the students and the staff who were coming on campus. So that was the decision to close the university to ensure safety of everything. And it was done in consultation with a lot of people, the security, the police and all that. They decided that no, to ensure safety for now, let's close the campus. That was what happened. I don't think so. The issue of retake, the DTF came and made it very clear to them that they are responsible for their retakes. DTF will not pay any retake for anybody. If you fail the module, you pay. But if it is a new module you are starting, DTF will pay. So that is very clear to them about that.
Thank you so very much, BIUST. I'm not going to give Honorable Furniture to thank you on behalf of the committee. We'll be now closing up for lunch. Then we'll be back here at 2 o'clock for Botswana Power Corporation. 2 o'clock. Honorable Furniture.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Let me take this opportunity to thank you. I can see you came in good numbers as compared to other SOCs that have been here before. And we really appreciate your cooperation, the engagement between the two of us, and it was very fruitful. We hope to have a very good relationship going forward, and just treat us as partners in this journey of governance, because as the oversight institution like Parliament, we also a stakeholder with vested interest in how the money is being spent, because we, at the end of the day, as parliamentarians, as a representative of the citizen of this country, we owe them an explanation. Because as when they pay tax, they want to know how their money is being spent. It's not an issue of trying to expose anyone, but it's an issue of governance and making sure that things are done properly for the best interest of this country. And thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Ke nako a lantšha no ra leboga.